this is big pressure, and I think we're gonna see more impact later during next year as the batch of created stuff is still being sold off. So the new consoles, I guess, will be having problems with their margin.
Two and a half gamers exclusive.
Breaking news.
Literally breaking.
Hello, and Merry Christmas to all. This is 2.5 Gamers News Weekly Breakdown as usual. Let's get into the stories. So we have the big story around the block, which is OpenAI just launched an app store within itself, inside ChatGPT itself, which means there's an app directory that's now available right inside ChatGPT, and apps extend ChatGPT conversations by bringing in new context and letting users take action like orders groceries, turn outline to slide deck, or search for an apartment. So basically, they are pretty much trying to build this as a platform now. Also remember that people build a lot of these like custom ChatGPT bots, which as they said in the press release, will be also coming into the platform. This also means developers can now submit apps to ChatGPT itself to kind of be the ones to be on the platform. But the more interesting part for us, of course, the game industry community, is what's the monetization model and when games will be submitted here, which means developers can monetize apps by linking out from the ChatGPT to their native app or website, but the company is exploring internal monetization option as well. So yeah, the AI fight is pretty much tightening and is pushing everybody to find more avenues or vectors of growth, more users, and all of these other interesting things. But they said that I think ads are coming also pretty soon. So yep, seems like a pretty relevant place as a gaming platform also, because again, if these linkages could be games or something that like pretty much gonna be created there as a game, and then maybe finally we have that AI game which nobody has yet. I mean, the one that AI enables the functionality and gameplay, not just some optimizations. But yeah, let's see. It's very interesting development, and it's always great to kind of see what's happening in the AI space because it's driving so much stuff. Which means with our next story, which is also quite important, as AI boom is pressuring video game consoles industry in race for memory chips by Reuters. So if you've been not living under a rock, you may notice that RAM prices have gone to the moon. So what's happening here, that literally some altman went into South Korea and pretty much ordered the full capacity of two of the biggest RAM, or let's say consumer RAM companies in the world, which is Samsung and SK Hynix, which control like 80% of the market, and they bought it all. Therefore, the prices for everybody went 200% higher. Micron, the third big company, which all of these three control like 95% of the market, directly said that they won't be making any consumer chips at all, because they're just going to sell all their inventory to AI overlords directly, as all of these companies, the RAM divisions, gross revenue went like tenfold. So yeah, this is big pressure, and I think we're going to see more impact later during next year as the batch of created stuff is still being sold off. So the new consoles, I guess, will be having problems with their margins and all these other things, which also directly translates into another story, which is that Valve discontinues the most affordable Steam Deck by $399 LCD version on the way out, as the new starting point is $549. So you can no longer buy the most affordable one. They didn't really said why, but of course, because there is a 256 gigabyte RAM, 256 GB model would be probably no longer profitable due to the ongoing RAM crisis. This is the speculation. So Kingston representative said that the prices for the kits and the RAM in the device more than tripled since the start of the year, forcing memory module manufacturers to raise prices. Yeah, so as I said, we already see the impact, like you see it right there. So AI, as we start from the first story, literally translates all of these stories because they can make a giant impact, and everybody's now racing to have as much memory as possible to learn all the models and have as much computational power as possible. And yeah, game industry is basically like casualty in the crosshairs. So let's see what happens here. But as I said, yeah, next year we'll definitely see some more impact. Okay, let's move on to some more snackbite news. PUBG maker Krafton leads South Korean trio of investors in 666 million India tech bet, which means there's a new unicorn growth fund, marks the first major joint venture between these three South Korean giants, which is, as I said, Krafton, Mire Asset Ventures, and then Naver, if I have it right, as I said. Yep, everybody's investing in India, but I think India as a gaming ecosystem is still a little bit lagging behind. But let's see what happens there, because, yeah, compared to something like Vietnam or Turkey, they should be by this time already much more further. But yeah, let's see what happens. Italy fines Apple by 116 million over App Store privacy rules. Nothing new here. Sega brings Godzilla to Sony Grumble in limited time crossover event. AVI Games establishes new subsidiary in Germany as part of global expansion strategy. That's the company known for solitaire clash with skill-based gaming. Then you have Netflix again in the headlines. The deal with Warner Bros. Is still not resolved and they're still fighting over it. But this time, Netflix acquired another company called Ready Player Me, which makes game avatars. For undisclosed sum, of course. The company was established by 2013 and already attracted 72 million. So let's see what happens here. Like, this Netflix story is getting more interesting every single day. Anyway, next news, Sony and Tencent reached confidential agreement, or basically they settled down their dispute over the Light of Motiram, if you don't know, which looks literally like a carbon copy of Horizon. That's the console adventure game where there's the female character with these like technical dinosaurs and robotic dinosaurs. So yeah, and the Tencent game was removed from Steam and Epic Games by the settlement. So I guess that's settled. Game Awards seems to attract more and more players, which they says that the viewership jumped by 31%. They have this live stream metrics which goes into like 154 millions live streams, but again, you could be probably watching it for 1 second, so I don't really buy that. The more important part is that this year's ceremony had 4.4 concurrent viewers across all the platforms such as Twitch, YouTube, and other stuff. Twitch itself was just 2.4 million, which is still giant, but again, 154 million is definitely not probably the real number we're looking at, which is still like a nice 9% increase on the concurrent users year to year. Then we have Thronefall being acquired by Mitrite. Yeah, if you don't know Thronefall, go Google it out on Steam. It's this nice cozy game by two people from Germany, which sold 1 million copies, indeed, darling. And you may have noticed that Kingshot took its onboarding and became the biggest mobile game of this year. So yeah, these guys at least got something, I guess, some boost out of it, hopefully. Very sad news, unfortunately. Vince Zampella, the studio head behind Call of Duty and Titanfall, died this week in a car crash. He was the industry legend behind modern console shooters, started Call of Duty and then went to do stuff like Titanfall, Apex Legends, Jedi Fallen Order, Medal of Honor, and lately he was working at EA, which is a giant loss to the whole gaming industry, so condolences to the family. Riot Games announces new roadmap for League of Legends. Yep, so I guess that's the usual eternal game overhaul. This has been ongoing within the industry. We've seen this with Counter-Strike, with like Counter-Strike 2.0, which is just like a visual overhaul. You cannot really make a second game out of this because you don't want to slash the audience into two games. So yeah, they said that after the next year's season 2026, there's going to be pretty much something as leaked next, as Bloomberg reports. And it means new visuals, a new client, new game modes, new everything. So let's see. That's great. And then the last news is that EA shareholders backed the 55 billion acquisition by Saudis of the company. And now the deal moves into regulatory approval. So let's see what happens there. That was the news of the week of 22nd of December. Hope you have a Merry Christmas and nice holidays. See you around. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.